Hello everyone and welcome back to the letter. I apologize for how I sound or for any possible coughing that I might do because I've been sick with the flu for a week. Sigh. It's one thing after another. This time around we are going to be for sure killing off Isabella, and I'm hoping that this round doesn't go on too long with repetition, and that we'll get like whatever we need and then get the hell out of here to start up the next round. So yeah.
No, I'm not at the office. Never mind, we're not safe. Not anywhere.
What are you talking about? And don't shout. I was just inviting you to help take your mind off things.
The letter!
This again? Ghosts aren't real, Isabella. They're just stories made up to scare children.
You're always saying that, but look what happened to Rose. I know what I saw.
The police says it's a homicide case.
Didn't you see what's in her room? That's not something another human being would do. Come on, Rebecca. You have to believe me this time.
Isabella, I know you're in shock, but you have to wait for the authorities' findings. You can't just make assumptions based on some stupid letter you picked up somewhere.
You're still not going to believe me, even if someone else already died, no?
You know that's not what I'm trying to get at.
What if Zach comes next? Or Ashton? Or you? Did you see what she did to Rose? We're all completely powerless against her, and you still won't listen!
Isabella, enough already. Where are you anyway? At home? Of course you're at home. I'm coming over.
Forget it. The same. They're all the same no matter how much you warn them. I let the phone slide off from my grip and turned my attention to the news. Never mind that Becca's still on the line. She's never going to listen anyway. They never will. I'm all alone in this. At the end of the day, no matter how gloomy the headlines are, it's still a...
The Luxbon Police Department continues its search for the following reported missing people.
Hold on a second. Missing? Aren't they? Still, I've got to check. Frantic, I open my laptop. The loud tapping of my fingers against the keys fills the room for the rest of the day as I look through everything. The background about the place, its history from the current owners, and a list of employees hired under BRC. The night has fallen by the time I finish going through my copies of the documents in our database. And I'm right. Of course I am. BRC may have a lot of staff. They may have a lot of agents hired, but I'd remember those names anywhere. After all, they're also part of the crew who worked with us in preparing the mansion for the open house. Then the letters? No, they can't be. I hope it's not what I'm thinking.
But Rose is...
My train of thought gets cut off when arms envelop me from behind. Ah! No! I wasn't prepared. It happened too fast. I couldn't help but laugh. When Becca says she's going to do something, you can be sure she'll do it.
You didn't have to come over, you know. You have classes tomorrow, don't you? And I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean to yell. I just didn't want what happened to Rose to happen to you, Zach and Ashton. I wouldn't forgive myself. I think I figured out something too. Listen, Rebecca, sorry. I need to answer that. I've skipped work today. Rose is gone and... my boss is probably beyond furious. No doubt that's him calling.
She doesn't budge. Is she still angry? The phone's still ringing in the background.
Rebecca? What's gotten into you?
Not Rebecca. I'm so sorry, Isabella. Bitch didn't even let me answer my phone. You've unlocked a memory fragment.
No, Rebecca's not in a good state, and
His voice hitches and I fail to catch the last of what he's saying over the sudden racket on the other side of the line. When the noise dies down, however, he does not continue. This abrupt change in his tone, the unexpected hesitance to speak puts me on edge, and a different kind of anxiety clings to me. Something's wrong.
Here is where, Ash?
Apartment. Rebecca's. And Isabella's. Just get here, please.
He drops the call before I can ask more. Maybe it's just me or my sleep-addled brain, but in that short moment he sounds almost as if he's pleading. The thought alone does not ease the lump of dread gripping my insides already heavy with fear. But despite the questions currently swimming inside my head, I waste no time in getting dressed, the rest of the day's plans and scheduled meetings effectively forgotten. Whatever lies ahead, I hope this ain't one of those times when my intuition is right. Oh, is this it? We're already? I thought we had to wait for a while. Oh, I guess it makes sense. Maybe we might, we don't personally see what happens until Rebecca's. We just kind of see after everything. The murmurs of the small crowd milling on the streets are loud against my ears, a contrast to the sleepy, laid-back reputation this neighborhood has built throughout the years. Despite sitting close to downtown Lugsborn, Salemwell Quarter never did quite attract the loud crowd to come into the city. Isabella mentioned once how the quiet bothered her in her first few years here. She has grown so used to the routine clangor of the slums in her hometown, it has become the closest she has to a lullaby. She never did quite adjust to the kind of mum Salemwell had. Yet now I highly doubt she'd like this kind of commotion either, in her own apartment complex no less. Moreover, where's Rebecca in all this? I was hoping either one of them will be able to give me an explanation, but a number of police cars and an ambulance are parked along the street closest to the compound. Given Ashton's tone over the phone, I already half expected their presence here. What's a little surprising are the news vans lined up on the road opposite.
What in the blazes is the press doing here?
The cold stone at the pit of my stomach grows more unwelcoming with each step I take, bringing a sour taste in my mouth. A handful of the curious has flocked near the building, probably waiting for something interesting to happen. Carefully, I weave my way through the thin crowd, only to be halted soon by perimeter tape enclosing the 3-story apartment. My eyes dart around the busy landing on the other side. It buzzes with activity as several officers move in and out of the building, most of them in white suits stained at the hems and gloves with a striking shade of red. I try not to think where those came from, but an idea has already planted itself firmly in my head long before I can stop myself. Ash must be in there somewhere, if this is that kind of case. I wait. And after what seems like a lifetime he emerges from the building, his own gloves smeared with the same red shade the others had on theirs, and exhaustion evident on his face. Briefly he scans the area, but quickly averts his gaze when he catches my eye. Without so much as a wave or acknowledgement, he starts to walk off in the opposite direction while reading off the papers he has on hand with complete focus. I get that he's busy, but that's on a whole different level of weird. Not 3 steps later, though, he seems to think better of it. He pauses before wheeling around and walking back towards me. This kind of hesitance, while not heard of from him, is only enough to feel the sick dread crawling at my insides. He doesn't meet my eyes when he speaks either.
Sorry you had to be greeted by this.
You say that like this is something new to me. Come on, dude, after all these years, every time I see your name on the caller ID, I'm already half expecting something shitty went down again somewhere.
An expression both pained and weary crosses his face momentarily before hiding back under his usual mask of indifference. The rest of my laughter dies from my lips, replaced by a sound devoid of any mirth. Try as I might to keep the talk light, the thick atmosphere has become stifling at some point. I've always known how taxing his work in the police force has become since his promotion, seen it with my own eyes as a matter of fact. But right now, have things really gotten this bad for him lately?
Can't say the side of forensics is a pleasant thing to see in the morning. Anyway, where's Rebecca? You mentioned she's not in a good state. And then... we have this. Please don't tell me she's somehow gotten herself in.
Nothing's happened to her. They're just getting her statement. They should let her go soon.
He gestures with his head towards an ambulance parked a short distance from us. Her strikingly familiar hair is visible between the two officers standing nearby. Although I can't see her face, the tired droop on her shoulders is impossible to miss. Still, to see her unharmed is relief enough.
Glad to hear that. What's going on here anyway? Seems like you've got yourself another big case on your plate this time.
It's been classified as a homicide, but nothing conclusive yet.
A homicide? Another? Right here? Figures while the press is here. No, I don't think any of the two girls will appreciate you bringing the whole precinct here. Bella especially. Never did quite forgive Devlin, no matter how much she laughs about it now.
Isabella's not here, Zach.
A flicker of grief. Momentary in its passing, but it's there across his face at the mention of her. And in that single lapse, the stone in my stomach has firmly lodged itself up in my throat.
Ash, what's really going on here?
A hunch, that's all it is. But if there's anything I've learned from him all these years, it's that asking the hardest questions are unavoidable if you want to get the answers. Not in a world as harsh as ours.
Ashton, I asked you a question. Where is Isabella?
When he looks at me, I already know the answer. God damn, I already know it, but I want to hear it straight from him.
She's dead.
2 words. None of it registers.
Dude, you know full well I find jokes like that in bad taste. If you need me curious about this, you got it done way before that came out of your mouth. Now answer the question properly.
I already did. What else do you want me to tell you?
The truth! Stop shitting with me and tell me what this is all about! God help me if no one tells me what's going on. I swear
I don't have time for this, Zach. I've got a lot of stuff waiting to be dealt with right now. I need you to make yourself useful and stay with Rebecca after they're done with her.
Let me through.
My hand's already on the tape, poised to raise it, but he's quick to move in front to bar me from crossing to the other side. It only serves to raise the ire bubbling up in me. The tone he takes doesn't help either.
I can't let you do that. This place is off limits until the investigation's over.
It wasn't a request. Let me through.
What could you possibly want to?
You said she's dead! I want to see it with my own eyes, Ash! I'm not buying any of your bullshit until I've seen it with my own eyes! Now move aside!
Or what? You'll break the tape? March in there like some criminal above the law? Because I'm telling you that's what you'll be once you do! And I won't be able to keep you out of trouble this time, no matter how innocent you are!
I'm not sure how investigations go. Are you only allowed if you're a relative to see the body? But, like, if you're a friend, can't you see it? Because, like, I don't know. I guess, like, you don't want somebody to trespass into the actual, area of investigation.
Screw the rules! That is my friend in there! Just the other day I was talking with her. How can she be dead right now? How sure are you that she is? All I'm asking is proof, goddammit!
It's not that simple! We're following a protocol here. And friend or not, you have to stay in line while forensics finishes documenting the victim's body and every fucking thing in the goddamn scene. Now back off, sit down, and let us do our work.
Considering that they do this too if you're a doctor, since Ash knows Isabella, I feel like they wouldn't let him on the case. They'd have somebody else do it because then, like, you know, emotions and stuff.
Don't make this harder for us, Zach.
What? You make it sound like you don't even know her. Ain't she your friend too?
It's not that. You don't understand. Right now, she's nothing but a dead body. We need to...
Bad way to put it, bro. All I saw is red. My anger subsided just as quickly as it erupted. The next thing I know, he's on the ground nursing a bloodied lip and a bruised cheek with an unreadable expression in his eyes. My fist falls to my side limp and forgotten. The papers and photos he's been holding on to all this time flutter uselessly to the floor around us as if to mock me. His rage would have been better, far easier to deal with than the wall he suddenly built up around himself. With it, there's only hurtful words and ugly truths, no puzzling guessing games that leaves you thinking for days on end. I shouldn't have let my temper get the better of me either. I want to apologize, say something to remedy the situation, but my mouth has gone thick with fear and remorse all at once. I can only look at my feet no longer standing close to the boundary I threatened to cross earlier. And that is when I see it. Understanding dawns on me, violent enough to shake me. With trembling hands I reach for the scattered photographs off the pavement. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna have to censor this. A sick, burning feeling immediately raises up to my throat. Jeez, how come Rose gets... Was it Rose or was it somebody else who got burned? Frickin' Isabella gets disemboweled. Purely on instinct, my eyes move in every corner of the print, searching for any sign of tampering, for any discrepancy, for any hope that this might just be an awful prank. But try as I might, I can't find it. Ripped apart. There's no other word for it. She barely looks like herself. In fact, I wouldn't have known it's her if Ashton hadn't mentioned something earlier. When I think of her, all I see is this person who has rarely ever lost a cheer in her voice. Often upbeat, rarely dispirited. Now she's nothing more than a mangled mess of blood, flesh, and splintered bones. Her head is bent backwards, the eyes and mouth open in a silent, empty scream. A hole in her torso big enough to expose her insides gapes open at me. It is as if a savage beast has torn it viciously open and feasted on it, every organ mutilated and butchered beyond all recognition. Blood pools from the open wound, drenching her and the floor in a deep shade of red. I can smell and taste it even without being there. And finally, I look back at him. Ashton's shoulders have gone rigid. His eyebrows are drawn in a tight frown. His jaws are clenched tight. I recognize the frustration, his frustration, for what it is. It's not that Ash doesn't want me to see her. He simply doesn't want her to be seen in this state. This ain't how he wants her to be remembered. I struggle to find the words, anything to fix this god-awful misunderstanding. This ain't what we should be doing right now. But he only looks away as he pushes himself off the ground.
Ash, I don't know what came over me.
I won't be pressing assault charges considering the situation. I've got things to check with the other officers, but don't go thinking you can easily cross this line without me here. The other police types won't be as forgiving. Go check on Rebecca. She's probably the one who took it the hardest.
Without another word, Ash gathers the papers littering the ground, ducks under the perimeter tape, and walks away without so much as a backward glance. Doesn't even remember that the photos are still in my hand. In hindsight, I could follow him. I should follow him. Return these to him, apologize, and maybe attempt a decent conversation without butting our heads or getting into a trivial squabble over this of all things. But he's right, damn it. He's right in that we're not the only two people going through this. And right now, Rebecca has to bear losing a friend all on her own. Who should I be with? Oh, no, this is difficult. I mean, we have the photos, and those are important to the case. But, like... Rebecca gets, like, the longest amount of, like, differences, so... In the end, the need to fix whatever rift I have unintentionally opened between us wins out. The punch might have been an instinctive reaction brought about by high emotions after getting caught in the moment, but at the end of the day, someone has to ask for forgiveness. I still need answers too, and who better to get it from than Ashton? I've already lost sight of the guy, though he shouldn't be too hard to find around here. Thankfully, the crowd has already thinned. Most have already lost interest in the commotion that entails the discovery of a crime scene and left. A few do linger, just reporters finishing things up for the news and waiting for some final words from the authorities. If this incident is not yet all over the news this morning, it will be soon.
Like a pack of wolves descending on a piece of meat.
That thought alone rankles. No sooner I find him standing close on a police van parked nearby. Or rather, hear him. Just as I'm about to make the turn, an unfamiliar voice stops me in my tracks.
Forensics say it may take longer than usual. One piece of a long-ass process this is gonna be. Don't give me that look, Frey. You've seen how terrible the shape of the body is in. Almost spilled my guts out when I saw it. And I've seen a lot of dead bodies in my life.
That's a terrible way to put it, considering. Could have used different words. I can't see who the other person is, but it's likely the officer he mentioned earlier. When Ashton answers, it's in the same composed manner he typically carries with him, as though this is simply another case for him to solve.
This was done by a professional, Abigail.
Sure it is. Or a wild animal. Maybe some monster, like the ones you'll find in a flick.
Don't be ridiculous. This is far from usual. But there's certainly an explanation to it. A logical one. Consider what we have right now. The place is clean, has been cleaned. No fingerprints, no hair, or any other way to indicate someone else has been in the apartment aside from Isabella, the victim.
Please don't tell me you've never heard of the Anselm Butcher case.
Didn't the trail for that case go cold?
Until recently, yeah? Remember the woman from the other day? Not as gruesome, but same sitch. Help me everywhere. CSI guys also found a weird note with the same thing written in Santos's room. I'd bet my boots Chief's gonna flip once he reads the reports. He never did catch who committed those murders years ago, and now his favorite serial killer is back. Bless Cooper's and Santos's poor souls. Some suspense mystery thriller this is turning out to be. Or a huge pain in the ass. Chief better give us a raise after this.
What did you say?
Chief better give us a raise? You know we're overdue for one.
No, before that. Say that again.
The note? It's with the forensics now if you want to check.
Not that one. A name. You mentioned a name. Cook? Coombs?
The Cooper woman? Oh yeah, you weren't there. Christ, Frey, at least check the reports for the other cases. Let's see. Rose Pamela Cooper, real estate agent, found dead in her flat the other day.
You know, they talk about Ash being, like, one of their top detectives or whatever. But why does it seem like his bitch ass doesn't read anything else? Like, how is he supposed to be a good detective if he doesn't, like, keep up to date with the other cases and stuff?
Same modus operandi. Scene was clean, blood and entrails everywhere, whoop-de-doo, there goes my lunch, and a message written in blood.
Wait, so Rose also got the same treatment? How come that one guy got to get burned? I'm still upset about that. Like, yeah, that's a terrible way to go too, but like, at least you get cooked and you don't get like your insides ripped out. Ashton falls silent. I can almost hear the gears turning in his head at the information.
The job. Her job. Where did you say she was working?
I didn't say anything. But it's Briar Realty, same one as this girl. Might be connected, huh?
They were the agents who handled the sale of the mansion to the Wrights.
Yep. Big news, that one property. Got a relative working in that real estate company once. He was laid off a year ago, along with a few dozen employees. I actually thought they're about to go under. Guess not. But 2 employees from the same company dead in the span of a week. If I didn't know any better, I'd say they did something fishy with a deal and things somehow got awkward with the client, if you know what I mean. This might be the result.
Isabella's not that kind of person!
His tone alone makes me pause. I've seen him annoyed before, frustrated even. Sometimes makes for a funny sight. But on a job? He shared a few of his cases with me before. I'd like to think I know how he works by now. And he has never once taken this kind of attitude in any of those. Yeah, because it's somebody he knows. Somebody that he had feelings for. This is why you're not supposed to be involved.
Whoa there, hotshot. Calm down. I was just thinking out loud. Don't get snippy with me. And how the fuck do you even know she's not?
I know she's not. I wasn't... Sorry. I've got to file this report. I'm leaving this to you. I'll be back later. Keep me updated.
Figures. Go get some rest while you're at it. We've been at this since last night. Even I can't keep myself awake that long. You're still young, a hard-working kid. But don't kill yourself over every case you're handling, got it?
Thanks. Not this one, I'm afraid.
An irrational panic surges in me at the sound of his footsteps. It ain't my intention to eavesdrop, if this can still be called eavesdropping when they're talking loud enough for me to hear. I certainly can leave, but what good will that do? In any case, I still need to give these photographs back to him. Except he doesn't notice me when he passes. Even with the tentative hand I raise to get his attention, he continues to walk with a purpose, each stride quick and decisive. The look on his face, however, there are really no other words for it. He looks pissed as hell. And if he was the kind of person, I'd wager good money that the next one who annoys him will end up injured in some capacity.
Ash, hold on!
He stops, appears about to let out a half a dozen expletives despite his restraint, before his tight expression eases into a small frown upon seeing me.
Zach? Didn't I say...
You forgot these.
I wave the photos in front of him. Recognition slips across his features before he walks over and takes them off my hands without so much as a thanks. Neither of us speak while he clips all of it back to his file. What else is there to talk about? A jest will be too inappropriate given the gravity of the situation. An apology right now, despite my intent when I sought him out, will be too early, too easy, too hasty. Not with our minds still reeling from the news. Not with all of us still finding ways to cope with our own grief. And this is how he does it, with finged indifference and an air of aloof detachment. I can't fault him for that.
You heard?
What? Oh, yeah. Of course, I didn't mean to overhear sensitive stuff. But you left these, and you and that officer were...
It's fine. You need to hear from someone eventually. Better to hear from people who have the fact instead of some random gossip.
What happens now, Ash?
I'll get to the bottom of this, I promise. Even if I have to do it with my own hands. I'll make sure the person who did this will pay.
How? Do you think this has something to do with that other case?
Can't say. But make sure you stay far away from the rights. We've got enough problems as it is. I don't need another one adding more to it.
Who? Wait, brakes, Ash, brakes. What about those things on the wall? Maybe she's right. Maybe it has something to do with what she's been telling us all this time. You saw the contents of the paper. What if it's...
Don't go thinking that the stupid letter is related or even a clue. This has more to it than some curse, damn it. I should have paid more attention. If I knew this would lead to this, I would have... I have to go. I'll leave Rebecca to you.
Yet as I watch him walk away, a different kind of worry weaves itself into me. Ash can handle himself. He's proven that time and again. But the way he carries himself at the moment, this frustration, perhaps even anger, now seeping into his every word. Years ago, early in our acquaintance, he said keeping a cool head is a priority in his line of work. Letting things get too personal should be the last thing that should happen in any case he's handling. I believed him then. Now, with everything as they are, I hope he'd remember those words for himself. Although it's small and begs for a little cleaning and repair, it is, at the end of the day, the closest I have to a respite. Sure, my sister would have a thing or two to say about the mess every time she visits, but it's still home to me. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind me, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. Most of them schedules, lists, and tasks for the next few days. Something to keep me busy while I sort myself out. And now with what happened to Isabella, something to temporarily take my mind off things. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion. After Ashton's warnings, they all had a different meaning now. You know, I'm gonna go back real quick to see what happens with Rebecca, because I don't want to go all the way back after going through the whole thing. and I'm curious now, I might as well. Apologies can wait. At the moment, Rebecca needs someone by her side. When I find her again, the officers who took her statement are long gone. She has not moved an inch from the seat the paramedics have offered her, and a distant look has taken over her face, the usual fierceness in her gaze missing, like a fire that flickered out of existence. There are no tears, just hollowness and sorrow. She offers me a weak smile when she sees me approach, but nothing else other than that. I try to say something, my mouth opening and closing in hesitation, finding words that will hopefully offer the least bit of comfort and if not sympathy. But all of them fall flat in the face of her own grief. The only thing I can give her is my company, to sit beside her and help her bear this with as much strength as I can lend. Around us, the crowd slowly begins to thin out. Most have already lost interest in the commotion that entails the discovery of a crime scene. A few do linger, just reporters finishing things up for the news and waiting for some final words from the authorities. If this incident is not yet all over the news this morning, it will be soon.
If she were here, she'd probably be scared out of her wits by now.
The words choke in her throat, her mouth closing off at the last one as if to stop a sob from escaping her. I don't need to ask her who her is.
She'll likely be out of here faster than you can say ghost to her. Probably rent a new apartment on the other side of the city as soon as possible. For good measure.
She would. She never did like it here.
Did she say that?
No, not directly. Never directly. She'll complain about me being bossy or Ash being annoying, but she would never say a word about that. The rent here is cheap. She prefers it that way. It just means she'll be able to send more home. Personal comforts be damned. For her family. Always for her family.
Rebecca draws in a breath, long and shaky. Her voice falters for a brief second.
They always came first for her. She's, 26? She doesn't even know how to take care of herself. It's impossible not to worry, you know? And she's always like that, and...
She clenches her eyes shut and heaves in, her shoulders shaking with heavy, silent sobs. And as tears began to slide down her cheeks, it hits me that I've never seen her cry like this before. Always the strong, reliable one, never the proud, fiery woman. Yet she is none of those as I draw her in and wrap my arms around her shoulders. She's simply another who has lost someone.
I don't really know what to say. Never been good with this, but I'm here, Rebecca.
Minutes pass before the rest of her cries subside, and by the time the grief has temporarily eased, my shoulders already damp with tears. She offers me an apologetic smile as she pulls away, which I return in kind.
I didn't mean for you to see me like that. It's just that I was with her on the phone yesterday. Before this, we had a fight. If I had known that would be the last time, I don't know. Maybe I should have been more careful with my words.
Hey, it's okay. You don't have to say anything now. And it's not your fault. Never your fault. Understood?
No, Zachary, I was just talking to her. She was alive, and I shouted at her. I should have at least heard her out, given her the chance. She was so worried about everyone that something might happen to us.
Suddenly she trails off. The rest of what she's saying becomes lost on her tongue. Her eyes are wide when she looks back at me, one trembling hand cups over her mouth and the other reaches out to grip my arm with strength I had not known she possesses until now.
Zach, she was warning me. She said we might be in danger. Remember Rose Cooper? Her co-worker on the news? You've heard it, right? She was saying something about her and the letter she got from that mansion.
Whoa, wait there, Rebecca. That's a huge jump in logic right there. And a little bit too much to take in at once, frankly.
I know that. If nothing happened, I wouldn't have given it much thought. But as it is, what if she was right all along? What if that letter she found really has something to do with this? The same thing was written in her room with her own blood and...
And nothing. I expected to hear a better argument from you, Rebecca.
We look up to find Ashton marching towards us, his strides quick and decisive. The expression on his face, however, there are really no other words for it. He looks pissed as hell. And if he was the kind of person, I'd wager good money that the next person who annoyed him would end up bleeding on the sidewalk.
And before you ask, the stupid letter's with forensics now, along with the other evidence. Don't waste your time looking for it. The whole case is a train wreck as it is.
What would you have me do then? We don't know who did this. Whoever or whatever murdered our friend is still out there.
You think I don't know that? I'll get him, I promise. I'll get him, put him behind bars, and make him pay. But please don't go around playing cop. We aren't playing a children's game.
I have no intention to. Don't you think we also want the same thing as badly as you do?
His mouth opens, poised to say something, but wavers in the end. He averts his eyes. Maybe it's just me, but for a fleeting second, something close to regret flickers in them.
You don't know the half of it.
What on earth do you mean by...
All right, guys. That's enough. Proper time and place, remember? We ain't getting anywhere like this.
Sorry, you two. I think I need some air. I'll step out for a while.
Just forget I mentioned anything, Zachary. It's probably the exhaustion talking.
She's already walking away before the two of us can react. Although with how our previous exchange went down, I highly doubt chasing after her will do us both good. An awkward second stretches out between Ash and I until I remember that the photographs are still with me. They continue to weigh more than they actually do in my hands. I try not to look at them again when I hand it back to him. Once is enough.
You left this with me back there.
Recognition slips across his features before he walks over and takes them off my hands without so much as a thanks. Neither of us speak while he clips it back to the file. What else is there to talk about? A jest will be too inappropriate given the gravity of the situation. An apology right now, despite my intent when I sought him out, will be too early, too easy, too hasty. Not with our minds still reeling from the news. Not with all of us still finding ways to cope with our own grief. And this is how he does it. I can't fault him for that.
What's next after this, Ash?
Can't say. But make sure you stay far away from the rights. We've got enough problems as it is. I don't need another one adding more to it.
Who? Wait, brakes, Ash, brakes. What about those things on the wall? Maybe she's right. Maybe it has something to do with what she's been telling us all this time.
Okay, so Rebecca's stuff is like an add-on to what we end up discussing. Ash will give me flack for this, he will. I can already hear what he's going to say about this the moment I bring it up. Hell, before he even sees anything, I'll wager. The guy's a skeptic through and through, and it'll take more than my account for him to even consider this. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs on the back of your neck and leave you wanting to flee or hide, what he thinks is the least of my concerns. I'm no hero, that's a title best reserved for someone else. Still, if this'll help him change his mind, it's worth a try. It won't bring Isabella back, it's far too late for that. But she certainly won't wish for anything to happen to us either. Outside, the sun has yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn, good enough time to mull over how I'll go about this with him. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch, the light switch gives out a soft click, and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Sometimes I wish Ash would make himself easier to find. 24 messages, 13 phone calls, and one visit to his flat later. I still have no idea which rock in Lugsborn he went off to hide under again. Man, I forgot he has his own place to live. I just assume that Ash lives at like everyone else's place, his car, and the bar. The guy has his own place but refuses to stay in it. Has his own phone but doesn't answer any of his calls or give any indication he's gotten my messages. Most of the time he'll just show up on my front door, sometimes in the middle of the night complaining how uncomfortable it is to sleep at the back of his Shirley, his car. As if the old couch in my flat is any better. Nothing new from him, though, but a bit frustrating, really. There's the police precinct, of course. Then again, he's not there most of the time either. And if that's also true for today, he's likely out on another stakeout. There's nothing much to do for me but to wait if that's the
Let's
case.
just hope I'm lucky enough today.
While Luxborn is a relatively peaceful city boasting a low crime rate, its precinct stays abuzz with activity. As soon as I open the glass front doors, murmurs coming from the people waiting in the lobby welcome me. Officers can occasionally be seen shuffling in and out of the rooms, greeting civilians with a casual smile and a polite nod. Some, though, look a little worse for wear, like their receptionist who looked at me with much disdain the moment I arrived. Thankfully, I won't have to deal with him today. Before I can even step in, Ashton's voice, though low, comes from that hallway adjacent to the lobby.
Not even for just 1 minute?
No. The case was dismissed, remember?
You were the one handling that case.
If you want access to those records, you've got to ask Chief. I was taken off it before shit went to hell. Why do you even bother? Even Professor Clark seems to have given up on that.
Well, never mind, you won't understand.
Right. I know you owe Professor Clark a lot, but the right guy isn't just someone you mess with. They've got the money. Who knows what else gets swept under the rug with them involved?
That takes a special kind of ignorant not to know.
And a smart person to know which boundaries he can't cross. You're a bright guy, you'll figure it out. In any case, I've got to get going. Another missing person case on my hand. Benjamin on the front desk looks like he's about to maul someone after the fourth one yesterday. Murders, people missing, what a time to be alive. Man, I miss the old Luxburn.
You and me both. I'll see ya. Gonna go grab some lunch.
He notices me first as soon as he enters the lobby and pauses. Confusion briefly crosses his face until I fish out the phone from my pocket and wave it up. Both his hands have formed into fists at his side, which he promptly hides into his pockets as soon as he notices I'm staring. Am I wrong to think this one will be as easy as the other times, coming out here and just talking? But with the words stuck in my throat, that plan has been quickly thrown out the window. We don't talk in the first place, we rarely ever do. When misunderstandings like this happens, then the next day we're back to the way we are, like nothing occurred at all. None of those fights ever involve fists and bruised jaws, though. Nor a dead friend. An excuse is already forming in my head when he moves, stopping my thoughts with a little tap on my shoulder, and walks past me straight to the door. He gestures with his head towards their very irked receptionist when I raise an eyebrow and question.
Over lunch. I haven't eaten anything since last night, and Benjamin there doesn't really like loiterers around here.
Wordlessly, I follow after him, but not after sending the poor guy behind the table an apologetic smile. Hopefully things haven't completely fallen apart yet. Even with that, the lunch is still every bit as awkward as I imagine it will be. As expected, he takes a seat in the furthest corner of the cafe, a good way from the window, but easily allows a view of who comes and goes. Secluded enough not to be disturbed by the lunch hour rush or be overheard by a curious bystander. If I didn't know this is lunch he invited me to, I would automatically assume I got dragged into another stakeout. After years of knowing him, though, this has simply become one of the many habits he has I've gotten used to. 5 minutes in, though, I find myself wishing someone will interrupt just for the sake of interrupting. We've got no use for privacy when neither of us seem too keen on talking. The arrival of food, however, seems to abate this, and pretty soon small bits of conversation would slip in. A chuckle here or a little nod there, not quite enough to break the tension or be taken as an apology, but cordial to the point swallowing our meal becomes easier. But everyone has to open that can of worms eventually, no matter how unpleasant it is. What should I say? Sorry for hitting you the other day. I mean, it was kind of a long time coming, but you didn't deserve it given the situation in that moment, anyways. Above all, he was not the one who threw the first punch that day.
Ash, the other day...
Words falter from my mouth when he pauses eating, his fork halfway to his mouth. It clinks a moment later against his plate when he settles it down and leans back on his seat, arms crossed and all ears. A second or two passes before I find my voice again.
You deserve an apology for the other day. Sorry for hitting you. Didn't mean to do it. I was overwhelmed. It wasn't very good news to wake up to.
He doesn't answer. Rather, he picks his abandoned utensil up and resumes eating.
Hey, are you still...
My jaw was smarting the whole day after that, you ass.
Ah, sorry about that too.
There doesn't appear to be any kind of swelling or bruising, though. A small relief, because the last time this happened, which also notably occurred mere scant minutes after we met, the purple hue stayed for weeks. Wrongfully accused for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. But it all worked out, and in the end the very same guy I punched was the very one who helped clear my name.
I was at fault too. I should have phrased it better. Should have handled it better. Sorry.
There's no exchange after that, and for the better part of the lunch we keep to our respective meals. I suppose it's better this way, less reason for things to become awkward. This is as close as we could get to rebuild that bridge after all. However, this ain't the hardest part.
How's it going?
How's what going?
You know what I'm talking about.
He breaks a hand through his hair and lets out a huff. If he can, if the place ain't as cramped full of people or as loud as it currently is, I don't doubt he'll be pacing the length of the room. Anything to take the edge off, anything to get his brain running.
Nothing from forensics yet. They're having a hard time. You saw the state the body was in. Doesn't even look like it was done by a human.
Maybe it's not human.
What, are you suggesting some wild dog broke into the victim's apartment and did that to her? The place was clean. This had to be done by someone who's been doing this for years.
You know I would never imply something like that.
Well, what are you implying then?
That maybe these might be connected.
The expression on his face grows more puzzled with each photo I spread on the table. There's about 8 of them, all of it reprints of the same thing, Mrs. Wright's distorted head on the photos. He takes a minute to go through each, eyeing the prints warily. The furrow on his brow doesn't ease even as he gathers all of it into one pile and sets them in one neat stack in front of me with a heavy sigh.
Hannah Wright?
Yeah. How did you...
The locket. She never takes it off. Evan's family heirloom.
I won't even think about asking why or how he knows that. If he's investigating them, he'll likely have already dug up every unimaginable dirt on them, including family history.
You never mentioned you got work from them.
Yesterday, yeah. It's just a small feature for a magazine. Interviews, photos, standard stuff, nothing big. But see, here's the thing. I don't know how else to put this out there without sounding crazy, but there really is something odd with that place. Remember the letter?
He drags in a breath, reaches up his nose and pinches it. Like the action alone will help grant him all the patience in the world to continue this conversation.
Please tell me this isn't about that again.
No, Ash, you've got to listen this time.
I am listening, and I can't believe that just came out of your mouth. These are some blurred out photos, and that letter is just a stupid prank. I expected this from Isabella, not you. You're the photographer here. I don't see any need to get worked up over this.
I know what you mean, but will you hear me out first?
Yeah, let him speak first. Jesus Christ. How are you a detective? Ash leans back on his seat and doesn't say anything further. He gestures for me to continue with a wave of his hand, impatience clearly on his face. Any other person telling him this and he'll walk out without batting an eye. I suppose the only reason he's giving me the benefit of the doubt is because we know each other.
Ash, I don't easily buy into these things as much as you do. Yesterday, though, behind Hannah.
He blinks at that, his eyebrows lifting momentarily before settling into a deep frown.
Hannah? Since when were you on a first-name basis with the Wright missus?
Why does that even matter?
I thought you said this was just a gig.
His voice stays level, but the accusation in it is clear as day. It hits a nerve in me somehow, more than that tone usually does. I do get where he's coming from, but that's not the point. Of all the things I said, my connection to the Wrights is the first thing he points out. As much as I want to keep my annoyance at bay, I can't stop it from seeping into my voice.
That's completely beside the point here, Ash.
I warned you, Zach.
I get it, alright? But you can't just expect me to turn it down after I made a commitment to a client.
I didn't know this is where we were I didn't know it was gonna turn into an argument.
I've got to put food on my table.
I didn't say you shouldn't, but you should not be messing with them.
I wasn't messing with them.
And this isn't?
He waves the photos in front of me before dropping the pile on the table with a loud smack. I don't need to look to know we've already attracted some attention from the lunchtime crowd. Besides, turning away from him feels almost the same as admitting he's right. There are things more important than his damn case right now. I wish he'd see that.
It was a job, and that ain't how these photos were intended to come out. You think I'd go out of my way just to edit something like this? There's something weird going on here.
And you think Luke Wright will see it that way? You think the Wright missus will find it amusing?
I did not do this for my amusement, Ash. People's lives might be at stake here.
If you understood that in the first place, we wouldn't be having this stupid talk. Luke fucking Wright is a dangerous man, Zach. Keep hanging around them and you'll find yourself burnt to a crisp in your apartment or floating down a river 3 days later. This case is...
Will you stop talking about the damn case for once and just listen to me? Why do you think Isabella's...
Don't you dare bring her into this. We're talking about you and this stupid...
Oh, of course you don't want to talk about it. She's dead because of your own fucking incompetence.
Oh, shit. Damn. He's like, I'm coming here, gonna apologize for hitting you in the face. I'm coming here again, I'm now going to hit you right in all of your emotions. Rather than a physical bruise, I'm now here going to leave an emotional one. Every expression drains from his face as soon as the words are out of my mouth. They've hit their mark. Each utterance scathes, sharp with nothing but anger and the truth. Yet they are also things I won't typically say out loud in good company and rather ease people into before letting it fall. Almost immediately, a wave of regret washes over me.
Ash, dude, that ain't what I meant to.
You said enough, Zach.
I didn't mean to hurt your fucking fifis, but, like, you're not listening. Sometimes, if you're gonna be a bitch, then I have to be a bitch back, okay? Open your fucking ears, I'm trying to speak. So annoying. Without another word, he stands, his chair scraping loudly against the floor, all while my brain races to find something to fix this. Ours ain't a fragile friendship by any means. I like to think we've gone past the stage when we find everything the other says insulting. But there are times when the letters and phrases alone can cut deeper than any blade. Mine might even leave a scar. He doesn't let me, however. Instead, he sets a card in front of me. The name is familiar, but amidst the cloud of remorse swirling inside my head, I can't bring myself to recall where I've seen it.
You shouldn't be running blind. Call this guy. He'll be less inclined to shout at you. Might even talk some sense into you.
I don't see his face when he leaves, and it's only when the store's bell chimes again do I breathe. Of all the places, it never crossed my mind I'll end up wandering into the public library today, considering I rarely ever visited. Somehow there has always been this kind of disconnection between me and books in general. Sure, some of them held my attention in my youth during the brief times of the day I was left to my own with nothing to do. I went through the whole of Grant's collection, as a matter of fact. Read all of them twice or thrice even. But they never did hold it for long, most of it never even stuck. Especially after I learned it's simply easier to do things myself if I want to learn stuff. This ain't in the plan in the first place, but after that argument I really don't have any other choice. Nothing but quiet greets me inside, though. Not the typical mum would associate with a library, but one akin to a hush prior to impending trouble. Perhaps I'm just overthinking again. I really like to think I'm just thinking too much about this, that this is just a lack of sleep talking. Regardless, apart from a group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere, the place is free of its usual visitors. All while my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs at the back of my neck. Much to my relief, it does not take me long to find him, being the only occupant in this side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark. I've never personally met the man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he is Ash's go-to guy when something's troubling him with a case. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary. You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh, no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures at an empty seat across the table while he returns to his books. The next couple of minutes pass in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from the pile he's accumulated on the table. Maybe I should have taken a book first before heading here. But before I can even get far into that idea, the professor clicks the book shut and sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me.
At my confused look, he lets out a small chuckle.
He sent a message ahead. A friend needs to have some sense knocked into him. In verbatim. That boy never changes.
I wasn't really expecting he'd do that.
Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
Of course, there are a lot of things I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess in the first among tens, hundreds of concerns in my head? But in the presence of someone I barely know, the thoughts won't easily form. He's nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry. It's a common mistake to make. But they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to. Here.
He places a couple of papers in front of me, the very same ones he was writing on earlier. A study of Luxborn's supernatural culture in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories. I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture, and this city thrives on it. Just ask the locals.
Like ghosts, for example.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now. It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses, even, out of great anger, hatred, or pain. There was this one story. Here it is.
Another book is pulled out from the stack and placed open atop the papers, while he speaks with such passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes these to be true. It is interesting, though, even if I'm personally not a fan of such stories. And soon hours pass without my notice.
In the end, it asked for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the wraith. A sad tale, that one. But the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser. Oh, I'm sorry. I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with the Ermengarde Mansion, though?
Of course. That goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend?
Considering Professor Clark's knowledge on the topic, I feel like he would have, like, a bigger role compared to the priest. So I think after the third round, I'm gonna go through it with him and everyone being alive. Because I'm killing off everyone in the third round. Well, not everyone. I'm gonna try to keep Isabella alive, and I just want to see what happens.
Although, word of the mouth is, someone has already bought it.
Ah, yeah. The right couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it. What is it about the mansion, then?
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man. You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house. But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Well, what about these then?
There's a moment of hesitation on my part before I pull out Mrs. Wright's photos and lay them all in front of him. Unlike Ash, the professor inspects each print with great interest. That gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
I need some advice, Professor.
Just the other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I'd strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them. Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know? I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
Deserve what, sir?
All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappears, his face becoming unreadable. Oh no, he's being possessed! As though catching himself, he hastily clears his throat, gathers his books, and raises from his seat.
Professor?
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do.
Nah, Professor Clark's just like... Oh. Supernatural entities? Ghost haunting? Did somebody mention Luke right? I don't give a fuck, he deserves it. Anyways. I forgot to take the dishes out the dishwasher. I need to go.
You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
Alright. Do you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years. I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Of course.
Do you think Professor Clark is the hot professor at the campus?
It was nice knowing you, Professor.
Why you say it like that? Shouldn't you say it was nice to meet you, Professor, not nice knowing you? It's like he's gonna fucking die. He doesn't hear it, however. In a few short strides, he's out of the library, leaving me in every piece of this whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there's even a single way out of this, I hope we find it soon. The moon is well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. An invitation and a request to cover an event, the Wright's housewarming party tomorrow evening. If only it were that easy, but it'll give me a chance to talk to her. About that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my head fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow when my head ain't muddled with the thoughts of a headless woman and the haunting smiles of a ghost. Belatedly, it occurs to me that the last meal I ate had been the one with Ashton, and an empty, gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up. Today was a complete waste of time and frankly a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the disquiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I don't know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything has been thrown out of the loop. I wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been easier to make sense of this. Closing my eyes, I let the noise from the streets below lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's the only thing that hasn't changed.
I even got in a fight with my best friend because of her.
Oh. There's a mean girl and she's being a big bully.
Hard to keep up when things are like that, you know? Especially when you can't do anything. It's kind of scary. Makes you wish things will just stay as peaceful as they used to be.
Maybe she just wants to be friends with you?
I highly doubt that. One of my friends, she left us because of her.
What if she's just sad? Or maybe she just wants help. That's what happened with Melody. I let her borrow my crayon when she left hers. Now we're playmates.
It's not really the same thing, Kylie. What she did, they're pretty bad things.
I still think there's another reason. Did you try talking to her? That's what Mama said I should do.
I don't think that'll work either.
You haven't even tried yet. You sound like Rowan. You're just scared, mister.
That strikes a chord. Maybe it's the honesty in her tone or simply the truth in the words itself. I don't know why, but I can't help it. I laugh. Loud enough to disturb an elderly couple taking a leisure walk nearby.
Why are you laughing?
'Cause your idea is stupid! Aren't spirits supposed to be humans before, too? Had people they cared about lived a life of their own, smiled and laughed like the rest of us, made sacrifices and cried like a little whiny baby. Mommy, don't leave me here, I make sacrifice. Just ragging on what's her face. What's her name again? Charlotte? I want to know. I want to know all the secrets. I mean, it's still not, like, I remember one of them, and we already know that she's not a good person, so it's not like whatever's told is gonna make me go, oh, that's so sad. I'm just gonna be like, man, you're dumb. I don't think... I did say how I believe that Charlotte, if that is her name, and then Takako, the servant girl, their spirits are like likely combined because it always switches between them. There's like sometimes she's all like soft and like, help me please, and then there's the other ones all like, oh, you dirty. That's Charlotte. She doesn't know how to speak right. She's stupid. Do they really lose all of it after death?
You better get to school, though, or you'll miss sports day. You should have won yourself some awards, alright?
Alright. Can I show it to you when I do? That can cheer people up, right?
In the distance, her brother calls for her, and I took that as a sign to leave.
What do you want from us?
The response never comes, however, because when I blink, gone.
Hello? Mister? Are you okay?
Dude, Kylie is so lucky that no one has just automatically swung at her. Cause the ghost keeps possessing Kylie. Surprised no one has taken a swing in fear. Just like, oh shit! And Kylie's just there crying, you have to fucking book it. Like, I did not hit a child, I hit a ghost. For several passing seconds, I let my stare linger on her face, waiting for any sign of another change, but all that remains in there is the carefree smile of a child, none of the spite, none of the cold, bloody smile. Moreover, I've said things I shouldn't have said the other day. Gotta straighten that one out before it blows up in our faces.
Ash, how many times do I have to tell you not to call me Z-Man? And stop breaking into my apartment! I'll call the cops on you, but doing that feels like a joke in itself because you are one. And I know I said something bad the last time. I'm really sorry about that.
In an instant, he sits up, every trace of amusement gone from his face. He clasps his hand in front of him and leans forward. A minuscule gesture meant to ease, yet the grim expression on him tells a different story altogether.
It's fine. You had a point back then.
Wait, what? Did I just hear you say that?
I'm not kidding, Zach. Speaking of the other day, did you meet with Andrew last time?
Yeah, at the library. He was...
What did he say about the photographs?
Huh? Oh, there's no guarantee it's a supernatural thing. It doesn't always happen, so that's a dead end right there. Now that I think about it, bothering that guy for this feels pretty silly now. But with the dreams lately...
That's all? Did he say anything about the damn letter at all? Did you ask him even?
I pause, glancing at him skeptically. I don't know where this sudden curiosity's coming from, but if Ashton, calm, cool, collected, always logical Ashton, takes interest in this, something or someone must have fucked shit up somewhere. Or the world is ending. Seconds pass. The apocalypse I'm expecting to go along with it doesn't arrive, however.
Yeah, that's really everything. The letter kind of slipped my mind. The photos were more important at that time. There was some stuff about the local horror stories, though. Talked about the curses, and he was really fascinated with the story about a wraith asking for a sacrifice to move on. Kinda nasty if you ask me, but it does make sense if you simply go along with it. I'm not sure how this will help in the grand scheme of things. Why are you asking about this anyway?
Becca's been saying weird things lately.
Weird like...
Same kind of weird Isabella says.
Alright, bro, stop right there. I thought you didn't believe in this stuff.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
Are you sure you even have the time? Ain't you busy with your current case?
I got taken off that one this morning.
Didn't you say you were getting closer to...
Apparently, the higher-ups think I'm doing a horrendous job at it. It doesn't matter, though. If these two cases are connected like I initially thought, then regardless, I'm on the right track. Have you seen the news this morning?
Make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else.
Rebecca and I are still here. We'll manage, one way or another.
Don't make it sound so easy. We have no idea what we're dealing with here.
I ain't saying it will be. But we gotta do something, yeah? Make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else.
He grins. None of it reaches his eyes, but it's a start. We've got to start picking up the pieces somewhere and hope everything will turn out for the better at some point. And Ash, well, frustrations aside, he's always preferred taking matters in his own hands. However, a little reminder there are other people with him won't hurt.
You have a point.
I always do. You just don't listen.
If he minds the bluntness in my words, he doesn't show it. But little by little, things begin to look up, if only for a short while. Ash leaves mere minutes close to sundown. He said little until then, not even a hint of what he's aiming to do after. While it ain't any of my business to know this, his whole reticent attitude on the matter gnaws at me. At this hour, the streets are once again busy with people heading home after a hard day's work.
I never want to wake up to that kind of thing again. Finding out one of my friends has been found dead. Murdered in her own apartment. One person is enough.
This is still better than having no other course of action, yeah?
He's about to argue for a moment, but...
Look, bro, if things ain't good, I'll be the first one out. But allow me this one thing, aight? Just this one time. If it doesn't work out, you'll be the first one to know. You can laugh then, or berate me all you want. But please don't ask me to step aside like I'm incapable of doing anything to help.
I have no idea if it is the look on my face or the tone of my voice. Ultimately, although his mouth presses into a thin line, he nods.
Do what you want. If you can check in with Rebecca, I'd appreciate it.
When he stumbles onto the sidewalk and allows the afternoon crowd to swallow him whole, I like to think the tiny gleam in his eyes is the closest we can get to optimism in this situation, knowing that whoever she is, she had once been human. My fingers clamp tightly to the camera. It's the only comfort I have in knowing that whoever she is, she had once been human. Yeah, but she was a terrible human, so is it really... Perhaps not all of it is gone. Perhaps some of it is still there.
Hello? I can help you. Whatever it is that keeps you here, I can help. That's what the letter's for, ain't it? You don't have to keep taking people's lives.
There's a brief moment of silence after, and for a short while I think my pleas worked. Then with no warning, the shuffling resumes, and along with it are the sobs of a woman. There might be grounds for imprisonment, but they don't deserve a brutal death at the hands of one malicious spirit. And I'm sure that's what Isabella would want if she was still here. I head straight for their door without a second thought. It takes a few seconds to sound loud above the foreboding stillness before I hear footsteps on the other side.
You? How the hell did you get in here? What in seven hells do you want? It's bloody 6 in the morning!
Listen, sir, I know this is not a good time.
Oh, it's not a good time. Did you even check the clock before coming here? I bet you didn't.
What do you mean get in here, bitch? I just knocked. I just rang your doorbell. I'm standing outside.
What did they do to you?
There are limits to how far a person will believe in you. Then again, I didn't believe Isabella when she warned us. And now I'm here, desperately trying to save people, even if I'm aware it's completely out of my own capacity to do so. Is this what they call karma? You're around, ain't you? You're here inside this house, listening, watching, or whatever it is you spirits do. What did they do to you?
I can help you, you know? If it'll let you move on, I'll gladly do so. You don't have to kill anyone.
Nothing. I don't even know who I'm talking to or if a sane person's supposed to be doing that. The only thing I got after is a feeling of foolishness washing over me. Or perhaps this is just me losing my mind. Out of all other options and any other ideas, I let my hand slide off the door's surface and fall listlessly to my sides. I can go back to Luxborn. Try to find the others. Try to get out of this mess with them. Or let them know how much in deep shit we all are. Both sound good. Either way, my loitering here ain't helping at all. I let the quietness calm me for a few more minutes before standing up and heading out to fetch my bike. It's quite a distance to Luxborn, but if I hurry, I'll reach it in maybe... The rustling stops as soon as I turn around and strain my ears for any other movement around me.
Yo, Ash, you there?
No answer. If he's here, and I've just missed him earlier... Already my feet are moving in search of him for the second time. It won't hurt to double check. And if he continues the way he is right now, I'm afraid he'll make a fatal mistake this time. This isn't just a petty criminal he can simply throw in jail. He needs to sit the hell down. My breathing comes in short, shallow rasps by the time I make it back to where I started. Still no sign of him, and I'm beginning to think I'm just wasting my time here. But that's when I hear it. I'd recognize the melody in a heartbeat. Last I heard him speak like that, a friend ended up dead.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or two, tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
I rush back to my bike as soon as the call ends.
I take it the investigation isn't going well.
When does it ever? But that's not the problem, no. It's...
The sound of a mug being slammed down on the counter. It manages to catch my attention for a split second before I zone out again.
Doesn't matter how I am or how my investigation is going, alright?
Don't take that tone with me, boy. You know I'm only concerned. You're drinking too much as is, and I've never seen you drink before when you were here. Not once. You've been sulking here for over an hour now, which is unusual in itself. So tell me what's going on, because I'm pretty sure alcohol don't have the answer you're looking for.
That's fine, because all the answers I need are probably from you. Just give me what you know and I'll be out of your hair.
This about that torn-up girl on the news?
It doesn't matter. I'm here to talk business.
Their talk would have interested me, would have kept my attention if I gave a damn. But in my current state, I can barely give two fucks about two things going on around me. All these words are just buzzing, barely surfacing from the sea of sounds that is the pub. Oh, here we are. I really do want to stay with her. I'm getting tired of pretending, of lying to myself, and the fact that I'm admitting this to myself now of all times only brings to light how Lorraine was right about me all along. I should have listened to her.
But, Lorraine, you're dead. How can we even stay together?
I know. And it's your fault, isn't it? You tore us apart, but now you can put us back together again.
And now that I have the choice to fix what I had done to us, then who am I to do otherwise?
I'm so sorry. I must look like a right mess.
I'm here, Em. I'm here now, don't you worry. Come here.
It takes everything I have not to tear up at the sight of her. She reaches out and slips her fingers through mine before pulling me away from the tunnel and towards the mirror. A reflection, a grown woman and a teenager barely past their prime, lends a bizarre light to this whole scene.
I can't imagine how you've been so alone all these years. I left you, Lorraine. I didn't mean to, but that's what I did. I don't even know if you can ever forgive me.
Don't cry. Doesn't suit your pretty face. Besides, I don't have to be alone anymore, do I? You're here for me, aren't you? You'll never leave me again, will you?
My mouth goes dry as she looks at me. That isn't the plan, this isn't closure, yet her hand in mine makes me believe that this is real. She's real and that's all that matters, nothing else.
Yes, of course. I wouldn't dare leave you.
You swear you won't leave me?
I swear to God, I won't, Lorraine.
Though her smile remains, I can only describe her expression as sad. She walks around until she stands just behind me and wraps her arms around my waist. I nearly crumble with how I am in her arms once more, and when she puts her chin in the crook of my neck, and I feel her hot breath on my neck, I fill with both joy and grief, and not confused at all at how she's able to get that high up. The scent of chocolate, almonds, honey, and beer surrounded me. My first taste of love. The love that I denied. It had been so bittersweet.
God's not the only one you're making promises to, Marianne. Swear it to me. Or, even better, prove it to me.
I'll stay forever with you, Lorraine. I swear it to you. How do I even prove it to you?
Simple.
Die. She presses something in my hand, a large glass shard from a wine bottle, cold and sharp.
You join me.
She's suggesting that I
die for me.
Lorraine! That's... How can I?
How can I even do such a thing?
There's no need to be scared. I'll be here for you until the end, Marianne. Even if you hadn't done the same for me. But that's the only way I can forgive you. The only way we can be together again.
She guides my hand raising the glass shard, and I definitely have to cover that up, too. My own hands are weak as is my will, and I can only bare my neck to do with as she wishes. There's no reason, no self-preservation, as I mindlessly welcome my own death, as if it will lead me to my salvation. I feel nothing at first other than the glass touching my skin like a caress until a stinging sensation blooms from my neck. The pain shears and burns like nothing I felt before, and every breath intensifies the feeling. Even if I want to cry out and scream, I can only cough as a slick metallic taste coats my tongue. The most I can do beyond that is rasp out calling for her name.
Lorraine.
Cold and weak, I grow worse by the second. I cough with each ragged breath, expelling the blood that I'm inhaling through my slit throat.
Shush now. It'll be over soon. Really soon.
There's a moment of doubt as I remember that the devil was once the most beautiful angel in heaven, that I shouldn't be deceived by such beauty. But in my final moments, all of that is soon forgotten. My mouth twitches, I can't muster even the smallest of smiles anymore. But I'll be with Lorraine. Even though we had to kill off Isabella to get more Zach content, it's nice to see more interactions with Zach. I don't know, it's definitely my faulty memory, but it just seemed like Zach had more interactions with Hana than he did with anyone else prior to some of this stuff. Of the deaths that we have seen, which would be Ashton, death by spear, Marianne, death by wine bottle, and Isabella, disemboweled. Isabella is currently at the top of Jesus Christ. I don't know why the ghost hates Isabella so much. Like, I know she also did the same thing to Rose, and I'm pretty sure the, whatchamacallit, what Ash mentions when we go to BRC, what was it, ketchup or is it blood? Or was it blood? Who knows, but the security guard there likely took quite the hit. I don't know why. I don't know if it was a security guard or like a different employee. It'd make more sense if it was a different employee, considering it, I don't know why they would bring security to renovate the house, the mansion. So, somebody definitely was brutally killed in the security room. And then there's like somebody who got set on fire, like spontaneous combustion. I don't know why Isabella and Rose got like the worst. Like, how does the ghost choose how to kill people? Like, I would think that she would choose based on, like, especially with this group of people. Like, I would think Rebecca would get, like, a pretty brutal kill because of her interaction with Luke. And you know, the ghost is a jealous bitch, so... I don't know if Hana gets, like, a brutal kill because she's being possessed. Who knows? She might not get one, like, if I'm like wondering now, if we go into the if we open the wine cellar or whatever, does she just die there? Like, does she actually, like, get killed, or does she get, like 100% possessed? Is now a question. I guess we'll find out in the third round when I go to try and kill everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I apologize for being sick, I guess. I apologize for sounding congested, is what I will apologize for. I will not apologize for being sick. That wasn't my fault. But I apologize for sounding congested. I tried to minimize it as best I could. I'm just wondering if we'll even be able to get a freaking, like, final, what is it called? A true ending. Will we be able to get a true ending? I don't care if we don't get a romance ending. I just wanna... It says endings. Is that just, like, for everyone? Or what? I don't... Maybe it is. Maybe everyone gets their individual true end if they don't die or something. I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work. But, like, if I'm just assuming if we go based on if I don't kill somebody or something. Like, talking about with Professor Clark, the whole sacrifice to the Wraith thing. Like, I'm assuming, like, one of the endings is gonna be, like, give Luke to the ghost, because that's what the ghost wants. And then we'll all be happy. We don't need Luke. That's the end of that. We've taken two things out of this world. The ghost and Luke. The two evils. But yeah. Have a good day and a good night, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.